All right. So we got Eric Paulson here tonight. We're just speaking about just resolutions for the year. What are some things that you want to do for 2024? What are some things that your takeaways from 2023? You
Yeah,
know,
so
to,
it's been awesome. Like just conversing here with you recently and just understanding like this big turning of a page. Like, and it's really easy to feel it around this time of year when everybody's kind of doing this collectively, but it's really a profound chance to really be retrospective, introspective as well, and to see like how far we've come and where we're actually going to kind of like course correct our paths, whatever they may be. And I get into the numerology aspects a lot. So this 2023 was a master number 7 for that year. So there's a lot of very big spiritual developments. A lot of these like recent retrogrades have been like getting into the depths of everything and right really digging that stuff up and healing it and really transmuting it. And Divine's like, are you sure you've learned your lesson before we go through? Because next year, guess what? It's the number 8 year. It's a year of abundance.
mm.
So make sure you're ready. So I've been doing a lot of that proverbial dotting the I's, crossing the T's.
Making sure, right?
Yeah,
It's very interesting, Eric, that you say that this year was 7
yeah,
because seven is a very like seven is a very like prominent number to me. Like it means a lot to me, like for many reasons actually. Like one of the ones that I find interesting, anyways, is that my name, Patrick Michael Hoffman, is 777.
oh, awesome.
There's a few other things too.
Yeah,
I forget exactly even I forget the other ones, but that's the biggest one where I'm like, so seven and like, and I always like, sometimes I roll dice or roll different things or whatever, and like I always get a lot of sevens. Like in seven is such a prominent number in our reality. Like seven. You go to the casino. How do you win? 777. Like so it's like
yeah.
sevens mean a lot. So I'm like, I don't know what that means to me. I'm like, I appreciate it though.
It's awesome because, well, numerology speaking, seven's a very spiritual number. It's more about spiritual growth and development. So
Mm.
it's a very spiritually focused number. So it really brings that into significance. Even I think in a lot of other scriptures, even it says that the perfect number is 7. There's different schools of thought on that, but
I'll take that.
so, yeah, a lot of this has just been like, wow, just putting things in action, healing, making sure they're in place and ready to go here into this next year because already I've been uh, really getting into expanding my own self-employment and really taking that off as far as that goes, and just really focusing a lot more on that and being just in these auspicious energies, recognizing them, just remaining in the flow state as
Mm.
far as abundance goes, and just really working on that manifestation technique. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I found with the manifestation, personally, just that like when I let go of just all like the trauma of the past, any stories of the past, anything that's like trying to conditioning, we'll say,
yeah,
when I let go of that stuff, I'll surrender it, let go of it, then like I become more like embodied to my like heart center because I let go of that the mind trying to hold on to the past, and it's able to like align me more with the love within, and then I'm able to manifest things quicker because
yeah,
I'm more like, yeah, it's like I felt pretty dumbfounded about it a few times. I'm kind of like, that was really fast, man. It's like,
yeah. And it's easier than it sounds, right? Was
mm,
like as soon as we let go and let it happen, you look back and like, wow, that was a lot easier than I really thought it was. I was making a mountain out of a molehill back there.
oh, for sure. Most definitely.
So let's talk about more about your experiences over this last year. I want to hear more about what you've been going through, what your developments have been, where you're going into this next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so this last year, 2023, like last year, still this year, still, but um, a lot of things, man. Like just waking up and like I took this leadership course, hardcore leadership, and really like learn and discern a lot of things I was hanging on to and like past, and just kind of was able to have a lot of experiential experiences to where like I could see where I was aware of things I wasn't aware of before. And
Yeah,
like, you don't know what you don't know. And when you're like, you see things, it's like, whoa. Then you're able to like have awareness of them and like be able to let go and surrender more and just give up this inner battle that you've been fighting, trying to like, oh, I don't like that about me. Like, it's like, no, no. If you just accept it, like I've said, acceptance is love. You just accept it, you surrender more. You like, so I would say that's probably my biggest thing. It's just that like, um, it's just accepted myself more and like being able to like surrender and like oh, people don't like me, whatever. Maybe people will like me, so it's just like just and I like to say being is freeing when you be your authentic self and just who
yeah,
cares if people don't like me, whatever. Like,
yeah,
and because that's my biggest thing. It's just like, I know we spoke a little bit, but like my past from my stepfather always like shaming me and all this, so I felt unworthy. And my past, I did a lot of like drinking and escapism, trying to mask these emotions, run away from them and whatever. So this year, I've really like faced a lot of that stuff and was like, oh, those demons, and like, oh man, oh, and like, accepted them and like, oh yeah, well, I did do that dumb thing. I try to whatever, and like, so I was able to kind of live more authentically, this year, and just let go and just be, man, just be. So I would say that's my biggest thing, to try to like, wrap it up in one.
yeah. Just being in that state of flow, just naturally being, accepting yourself for who you are,
Mm,
loving yourself in the process. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
mhm. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, like a lot of things with the leadership course too. I went to Austin, Texas for a week, and had a
yeah,
whole deal there. And there was like a mastermind course and stuff kind of too, and like learned a lot there as well, and kind of like gave me more focus on like where I'm going and how I'm trying to get there, and also kind of raised some more awareness too of like how I've been trying to force myself to do things like, which like taking action, doing what I want to do is fine.
yeah,
That's what I want to do, but having like the force behind it towards like I'm like pushing myself to do it in a way that's like not like I want to do it, but like not like it doesn't feel right kind of deal. It's like I'm like pushing myself to do it. Like, so having like let go of that and having awareness of that like pressure, that what I'm pushing myself through, like, no, I want to do that, but why am I forcing myself to do it? Like, I should just be able to choose to do that, like, and love myself for doing it. So I'm able to like do those things more like consciously and just lovingly, and not feel so like like
right.
so so
We can be our own worst critics, right?
oh, definitely, definitely. So I mean, reflecting on just this last year, what would you say was your biggest achievement?
Oh my goodness. There's so much to choose from, really. There's so many blessings,
Yeah.
so many experiences. So much can happen in such a short amount of time, too. Like September, man, that was a weird month. I blinked and it was gone. And it was a lot of it was just stemming on or right off of I finally made the commitment this last year to go full on for self-employment. For I stepped down in my culinary career. I'm no longer a chef. I've been a chef for 29 years. I've been in the industry. So yeah, that this last spring I stepped down from that, and it was pretty monumental for me. And I think I even just put that up on my channel here on YouTube recently, where I was expressing, okay, yeah, I know I made the channel, I created the channel in June, but it took me until July to actually get over that resistance that I had, that self-imposed thing, like whatever hurdle that was, to actually put myself out there and do this. And I did my first like holistic wellness and spiritual fairs this year as well, um, which has been an awesome, awesome experience, and several more to come too. So, yep, look out, I'm coming your way. Um,
Beautiful, man.
yeah,
Beautiful.
so just, taking off in my own direction with the, self-employment kind of aspects has been very, very liberating and freeing for me. It's been a lot of healing the throat chakra, healing the root chakra, a lot of that.
Mm. Mm. So, is there anything you wish you had done differently this last year?
Yeah, I really, I think that I could have procrastinated less. I get my own way, with overthinking, and I'm like, it's so easy to like get all these variables stuck in your head and just get in the analysis paralysis. And
Mm.
I laid in my bed for a week and I couldn't get out because I was just riddled with anxiety over all of this because I just quit my career. I was a corporate chef, right?
Mm.
And I was like, from financial stability and security and all of that, and upper management and all that fun stuff. I'm like, that's just not for me. It made my heart sick. It made my soul feel really heavy and yucky and just, it was just, and coming, in the north woods of Wisconsin, I know you and I can feel this because we're from this area, where it's just not what a guy does. We stick with it. We're expected to be the breadwinners. We're the ones that would do the manual labor, the factory work, or whatever you call it. But we're the ones that are the pillar, the strength, for the family. We lead by example in that sort of aspect, but I was getting really into that. Just, my kids are grown now. I have two sons that are going to be 21 and 19 here, like very shortly. Like one
Mm.
just turned 19 a couple days ago. But I was thinking, like, man, was I just setting the wrong example for them their whole lives? Was I just doing that? And then it was really hard to like forgive myself and to get into that practice and be like, okay, now that I don't have to focus and like pretty much be a martyr, to whatever it was from the divorce and paying child support at the same time when I had, literally, like, I had them more than 50% of the time, and I was still, the guy, having to go to work, having to pay the child support, even
Mm.
though I, still provided for them in my own home as a single dad, and just doing that their whole lives. I'm like, you know what? It's finally time. It's finally time to do this. Like, they're grown. I think I raised two great young men. I wish I would have done this sooner. I did always kind of have this sort of aspect about myself with spirituality, a focus on balance and harmony and spirituality throughout their lives, but not nearly as significant as the role I feel I'm playing with them right now.
Mm.
Just leading by example in a completely different way, and like, hey guys, like, look at this trauma that I just had. You don't have to go through that. I made all the mistakes, so you don't have to.
Mm.
uh,
Yeah, man, that's great, dude. Having that awareness and seeing that, and like, and that's great to be able to like see it and be like, oh, and then like to reflect upon that, and then be like, oh, this is where I would make the changes. All right, and then we can accept ourselves for like for oh, but like you said, I wish I would have maybe taught him this or done this or whatever. Like we can reflect upon that and be like, all right, okay, now I know that now. All right. So now I can like not hold this grudge against myself. Be like, all right, okay. And then we can make that change for 2024, so to speak, you know?
Exactly. We can put it into practice. And my youngest son is already following in my footsteps as far as this goes, this holistic practice. He, without me even telling him anything about like what this all is, like, he's like, his Christmas wish list and stuff was like tensor rings. He wanted moldavite, and like he knew like what these stones were and what they like. He wants to get into the spiritual practices, and he's into Hermeticism and
Mm.
what was the Stoicism, he's really into and following. I'm like, I I did something right, yay!
Yeah, for sure,
As a
brother.
father, it feels pretty good, but it kind of just fuels the fire just to keep on going, get those affirmations going, the confirmation, that momentum, right, and just to kind of keep going. And it's really nice. I know it's not always going to be, sunshine and rainbows. It's like the dark night of the soul, like when we're at the bottom. I mean, that's where when we see the light, that's when we feel the light, when we feel that experience. When we're already in that light and the love, and that it was easy to take it for granted, and
Hmm.
it's easy to see like just how dark and how low you've been in previously. So you can't appreciate one without the other, and so it's all about the balance for me for that. So
For sure, definitely. I feel you there, man. Like with me, I would say the biggest thing that, biggest thing that I would have done differently would have been like having more of a commitment, we'll say. And it's not that I didn't have a commitment, because I definitely was, but like just more of a commitment, like being more committed and doing like and taking the action for things that I knew I wanted to do, and not like, oh, I'll go do that, or maybe I'll go smoke some weed with him or some one of for a friend or something, or
no,
go to the like drink, all drink or something. It's like I'm like it's like I was like more escaping it and trying to like mask that this pressure, this feeling within, instead of like just accepting it, loving it, and just I love you, man, and like and just moving on, man,
yeah.
just going through it, and
That's awesome. It's beautiful. And so, what do you plan on doing for this next year? Do you have any goals set aside, or plans to set into action for?
I definitely do have some goals and some plans and some things set into action. And I'm gonna actually is what I was gonna do tonight. Actually, it was with this call, and afterwards, I wanted to focus even more on it and get more, hyper vigilant on it and like narrow it down more. Because yeah, I know it's, as within, so without. Wherever we focus on, and we create that. So if we
Yeah,
keep allowing the past, and we focus our attention there, we bring that to the present now, and it's like it creates disconnection. But anyways, so no, it's really like these containers, man, like these containers today we're doing right now, like
yeah,
to help like just spread love, spread different, like have different understandings and whatever, and just like share with the world more, get out there more,
yeah,
because my story is just I've just been kind of like getting in my own self's way, where like my story, having my near-death experience, running a farm, and then completely transitioning like to plant-based now, and like be more like that leadership and stuff like that. It's like, what? I was not like that whatsoever. So it's like, so focusing more upon that, and like, taking more action, and like instead of being like, oh, be more of like a coward. No, no, no. Get out of there, man. Like let's just do it. Just
right.
do it.
I love this aspect, and like you said, this container where we can host this even more often and have other people like just sit down and like have a cup of coffee with us or something, and just listen or observe, and we're two guys just being who we are, and looking at support from one another and with one another in our spiritual communities. That's really really um, different in our area. I mean, geographically, yes, it does make a difference. We're not in Sedona where it's all beautiful and full of quartz crystal and things like that. This is meat and potatoes country where it's a lot of metal working fabrication type of like gritty, like roll up your sleeves and farm work and all that great stuff, right? With what's
Yeah.
expected of people. And I think like that paradigm shift is slowly occurring around here. But it's really great just to show people that even people like you and I, they this can hopefully open up the doors of conversation in their own lives. They can take from our container and just open up these aspects like, hey, I heard a really interesting topic. So and so today said this really cool thing that just like stuck with me. I would like to talk to my spouse about it, or my child about it, or my mother about it, or whatever.
Yeah,
And guys, you're not alone. Ladies, you're not alone. We're all in this together. So it's
definitely.
really great. I really want to get into those other topics too in the future, like when you're talking about near death experience. I'm sure
Mm.
that grabs a lot of people's attention, and people do need to hear that story. Y'all who out there listening to this right now, you really need to hear his story. right? So definitely stay tuned with us because this guy's story is amazing, and you will have to definitely catch that later at a later date.
For sure, brother. For sure. And I'm all about that too. Definitely like, just getting out of my own self's way and it's just explaining it, man. Like it needs to be heard, and like
Yeah,
and that's with what my whole mission in life is. My drive now is with, that's kind of another part that I didn't answer there, is like for next year that I want to do as well, more than just these containers that we're doing now. Also with Conscious Academy, raising awareness, which is exactly what we're doing. We're raising awareness. We're out talking, contemplating things, and like people can be like, "Oh, wow," and talk to their friends and family. Absolutely, but I want to purchase some land. Hopefully I'm shooting for like 100 acres. Have a river in there so I can utilize all that. And like we spoke, having the earthship structures and an animal sanctuary and just different ways of like how we don't need to live in this monopolized matrix way of this society culture. And like also too. Like you said with men, men are like told to like toughen up, man. You can't cry. Stop being a baby. It's like, dude, we need to like express and let this emotions out, man. Like and not be like,
yeah.
oh, and try to be human doings. It's like, man, like we gotta like feel, yeah.
Yeah, and to be in our divine masculine, I mean, that's really part of it too. When we're like cowering down and into that feminine energy, that passive, that more docile, the more like just roll over and show the belly kind of
Mm,
syndrome, where men are just we're not being well represented these days, and a lot of women are in their toxic masculinity because of this too, where yes, they are forced to be a mother and a father at the same time, but a lot of this is based off of a simple thing that we can all, this is all avoidable, where they could just have a communication with their partner, and leading by example, like you and I are, with just, it's as simple as opening the dialogue, just sharing that conversation. And I think this is worth mentioning here too, is that I believe firmly too that a lot of successful relationships are based off of the number of difficult conversations that you're willing to have.
mm,
And
yes.
once you start drawing the line at that, once the ego starts getting in the way, you're drawing the line at like, hey, I don't want to talk about that right now, or whatever. I don't want to do this right. When that ego gets in the way, then you're like starting to make more resistance for yourself. But I'm kind of putting the cart in front of the horse here. That's a whole nother topic for another day.
For
But
sure, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, being just to kind of add on that a little, I guess, because we're there.
yeah,
It's just being vulnerable and like getting out of your own self's way and just like and just
right.
doing it anyways, like
Yeah,
action being the highest form of prayer. It's like when we just do it anyways, like that is how we pray to ourselves. We pray to the creator because we are connected within to him, her, and like it's like we're able to like just able to like the universe rewards the brave. We're able to like just expand more and like and just yeah, it's not going to be easy, but like how do you learn how to do new things? You got to be like, oh man, you're sweating, you're scared, but you just do it anyways. But
yeah.
anyways, yeah, to go back here, um, so what would you say, for setting goals for the new year for next year?
Sure.
What would you say are like your top three or your top goals for the upcoming year to create, do?
Okay.
Whatever.
What I'm really working on right now is more something tangible. I notice that a lot of fairs, a lot of people are, they're great, with the rune readings. I do PEMF therapy, as pulse electromagnetic field frequency therapy. But it's more just like energy therapies that I've been really focusing on. And along with the rune readings, is very intuitive based. However, I've noticed that a lot of people, especially Wisconsin, a lot of people are very not familiar with, a lot of holistic different types of practices that are out there. They just don't know what's available, and it's no fault to them. It really isn't. Guys out there, it's not your fault, okay?
Yeah,
We're
100%.
but what I'm wanting to do is more I'm looking at creating some more tangible items for my business to sell, which are also more like along the lines of runes, and
Mm,
educating people on how to read those, and actually carving them out of the stone itself. I might do some wooden ones too, but I'm more drawn into the very unique one-off kind of types of stone. Like I'll go looking at a local quarry and just find some awesome quartz, or whatever, find something at a gem and mineral show and just chop it up, polish it up, make my own runes, right? And teach people that. I'm also a Reiki professional. I'm a Reiki master, so I like teaching people that. However, it's a lot of people are very apprehensive of it. One, because I'm a guy doing it, and two, because there's so many people around it. It's been such a fad since this whole pandemic thing started, where I'm just trying to be like, okay, well, let's just like check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, kind of thing. And try to. I'm really trying to get a collective together, like more, I want to say regionally, not very super focused on local, but very much more regionally, like you and I are. We're pretty much regional here. And really just forming a support sort of committee where we could just talk to one another. It doesn't have to be like, these are the meetings and this is the time where we meet and blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. It's just like, hey, we're here. We're a group. We're together. It's open dialogue, open door, kind of stuff.
yeah.
So I've been wanting to do that here this next year as well. I'm booked into a lot more of the spiritual and holistic wellness fairs. So there's a big one in Milwaukee coming up this
Mm,
spring. There's more all over the state that I'll be a part of. I'm just trying to get more into those as well. So, um,
beautiful.
and other than that, storefront, a local storefront. So working
Oh
on that
yeah.
too. So.
Nice. Yeah. Speaking of the ruins and whatnot, like I'm looking at your necklace. I'm like, man, it looks interesting. I'm like, is that something you made at all or?
No, this is actually from a local vendor. This one is,
Mm, mm.
and that's similar to the stones it looks like you have on your neck. This lapis lazuli.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Yeah,
from
very healing for throat
Afghanistan,
chakra.
I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly it's from. It's just beautiful. So
Yeah.
this stone and also labradorite, I get into a lot. I haven't made these stones. I'm looking at purchasing the equipment still to make those other stones. Um, but stay tuned because that's going to be probably my next big purchase here is like a wet saw to do that sort of thing with. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. And you like you're saying about this a storefront and stuff. It's like
yep.
that that would be perfect, especially for around here where we live in northern Wisconsin. That would be
Yeah.
like you don't find stuff like that around here. Like,
No, no, you really
yeah.
don't.
Yeah, not at all, man. Yeah, and like uh to say I know we kind of wrapped it up into one there, but like my like some of my new this next year the goals for the upcoming year really like I was saying there is just to purchase land, man. I want to purchase land because I've spoke about this many times about Conscious
Yeah.
Academy and doing all this, but I'm like I can I've been told several times by different individuals, it's like, man, dude, you need to just get some land and actually create it because then people will actually want to come, they'll want to help, they'll want to be part of it if there's actually something physically there. I'm getting there, man. Like, with
Like the Field of Dreams, right? If you build it right.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
A lot of people, I've noticed that too. A lot of people are more, they're like watchers. They want to see you succeed a little bit before they join in, which is
Mhm.
fine. Which is fine. Like we still need, more of this collective energy too. But we're also looking for future leaders, everyone. So if you want to join us, feel free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hop in. We don't
Yeah.
bite, like it's all good. Yeah, man. So just like, you know, creating like just more just conscious awareness, man. Like more
Yeah.
love, dude. Like just more, and like and more acceptance and like it's all about acceptance. And like when people accept themselves and like they understand like they're this drama, this stuff happened, whatever, you accept yourselves and you just let it go, man. Like you can
Yeah.
just you can just be authentic. Authentic. You can be real, and you can appreciate life, and like, and you can actually start to, instead of like hating your past or trying to resist it or whatever, you can actually like, oh,
Yeah.
that actually taught me some really good knowledgeable stuff. I know, love that darkness. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. It's really interesting too, like to be so open about our past, so we could lead by example more with the divine masculine out there, guys. You're not alone. It's good. It's okay to have those types of conversations with people when they ask you about your ex, when they ask you about your kids, when they ask you about your old employers. Be honest. Don't leave anything out. Don't sugarcoat it, but also don't embellish it either. But just it's really great to, it's very therapeutic to really talk about that, to sit with that energy, to work through it, because really the only way out is through. And the more we tiptoe and try to dance around it, guess what, it's still there. You turn around, it's still there. When you go through it, you've already transmuted it, you've turned it into something else, something beautiful along your path. So yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's one I always say too. Is the only way out is through, man. Like it's like you gotta like, and the acceptance being love. It's like, oh man, you gotta accept that past, any blame, shame, guilt,
Yeah.
anything that's hanging on, or whatever, any suffering. Accept that suffering for what it is, and like, and then like through that acceptance, you can let it go, man. Like, and that's the way through. Like, whether you got to go hit a punching bag, go yell, this man, or cry it out. Let that energy out, man. Like, let it go, and then
Yeah.
you let go of that weight, that baggage, and then ah, man, I feel so much lighter now. Like, wow, I feel so much better, and like, and then like
Yeah.
through that, we can actually live the life that we came here to live. Our purposeful life, just being is freeing, man.
Right. And the powers that be want us to be in misery. They want us to do that 9 to 5 or
Oh,
that 6 to 2 or whatever. And they want us to do that daily grind and constantly be in that state of fear and that state of, if I just do a little bit more, maybe I can get there. Maybe I can get a credit card. Maybe I can build up my credit score. Maybe. No, come on, guys. It's that paradigm is shifting and that is ending. And I feel like this coming year, we're going to see even more of that. And we've been witnessing, we've been living, we've been feeling a lot more of that since 2020, since the beginning of like a lot of this big planetary shifting energy, where a lot of this finger pointing isn't happening anymore. And we're demanding people to own up to their energies. So the
mm,
best thing I can do for you is work on me. The best thing you can do for me is work on you. Like it starts with you, and you lead by example, and you make sure that you're doing it in this most holistic way as possible, right? Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I make tons of them. I make daily mistakes.
oh, right, for sure. Like,
Right?
definitely, brother. Like, it's like, let your mess be your message. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, like, yeah, you might have to like be all over the place or whatever, like papers all over the place trying to figure it out. Like, like, but it's just it's fine, man. Like allow yourself to accept that, and then like you can turn your mess into your message, and be more precise, and like and sharing is caring, man. Like share yourself, and like you said there too. It's like when we do that inner work on ourselves, that's how we like help serve the world, is like to do the inner work on ourselves and like love ourselves. And then it's like through that, it's like we can only love another, we can only help another, we can only support another as much as we support and love ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. Like, yeah, we can only meet each other as deeply as we've met ourselves. And we can only understand each other from the depths of our own perception. Like, how deep are we willing to understand them? Like,
Mm,
you could be telling me something that, and I think that I'll understand it 100%. But even retroactively, like I'll be thinking about it probably later on when I'm meditating tonight. Be like, you know what? I could have responded even more to that. What
oh,
Patrick said just then was really, really awesome, and I wish I would have, thought about it a little bit more before I responded.
yeah, for sure. For sure. We're just, and that's the thing, is kind of like right now it's a little bit more pressure because it's like our first time hopping on here and doing one
Yeah.
of these, so it's like that already's happened to me a couple times already. Just talking here for half an hour. I'm like, well, I probably should have said that. I should. Whatever, whatever, no
Yeah.
big deal. Um, so what would you say, Eric, would be like your like your resolution, your 2024, like your theme, like a theme to guide you 2024. What would you say would be like a theme?
2024. Oh gosh, I haven't really given a lot of thought to that, because it's just more about being more in flow. And I think maybe if I were to pick that sort of a mantra, there's this really old mantra that I really do love, and it goes Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And it really just means I devote my life to the pink lotus. So it's
Mm,
really the laws of the Buddha, and like really just dwelling on the
mm,
teachings of the Buddha, and just being, and it's Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. And it's a beautiful mantra, and I just hear it over and over in my head, and it's really life affirming and it's life changing. And just it really helps me stay in that heart space center, that really just flowing energy, where I feel very divinely protected. I feel safe. I feel okay to be me, right?
mm,
And that's the most important thing too, is when I catch that miscommunication in the future, when I catch that possible disharmony, or whatever, however we want to perceive it, right? Those potentialities that might throw us off in the future, just recognizing that, offering that communication first, like before. And I'm not going to like beat myself up, but to try to make it right with the, if they don't want to talk, fine, don't want to talk. Okay. But the olive branch is there. And at least I offered that, but I'm not going to keep, like before, what I would do, sorry, just a little pretext here. Uh, what I would do is I would, even with my ex-wife, I tried everything possible, and to even my own detriment, to my own health, literal physical health, emotional health, mental health, spiritual health. It was all like in the gutter. And I tried everything to make it work before I finally said, okay, that's enough. Like my kids, my
mm,
health, and that's, end of it. So not trying to that extent, because that's like a bit of an ego attachment that I've
mm,
recognized, and that I've really processed and grown from, where it's okay to just sit and recognize that and be like, hey, would you like to have a conversation? And if the answer is no, fine, I'm not going to press it. And just keep on being in that flow state is just going to be my mantra, pretty much, going through the next year here. I don't really have like declaration, or a sort of like a New Year's resolution or anything like that. I'm just gonna keep being that big happy ray of sunshine everybody's come to know and love.
mm. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, man. Like, yeah, I hear two words came to mind to me when you were talking there. First one was commitment. Like it's just
Yeah,
like having that commitment where you're embodying like, yep, I'm gonna be committed to me, man. And that's what I'm doing, dude. Like being that ray of shut that lighthouse of love, dude, like shining out, man. Like like love it. And the next one was enthusiasm. Just
yeah,
being enthusiastic, like, like, and that's something that I've really like also grasped this year. Is that like enthusiasm, enthusiastic, whatever, like to just be enthusiastic. Like I remember it was like I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I was driving home. I was at an hour drive home, and I was having a breakdown, just kind of like just shedding a couple tears. I'm like, oh, like just things bothering me or whatever, like letting it go, just kind of going through it. All right, the only way out is through. I'm like going through it. I'm like, all right, yeah, like letting it out, whatever, like and then um. I remembered I'm like enthusiasm. I'm like, so I was literally like just driving. I'm like smiling. I'm like, yeah, man, thank you for that, dude. Like, I appreciate making me feel like shit. Oh yeah, thank you. And like, I was really just like transitioning, like my cellular memory, like my body, like of like to not think like, oh, we got to go on a low, we got to be down here and feel like shameful and whatever if we're going to be emotional. I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And yeah, man.
There's been a few lessons with guilt here over this last year or two with the spiritual development of the number seven, where it's
Mm,
been, yeah, like you said, that enthusiasm, where that guilt was taking that away. It was just robbing us of that beautiful energy. And when we're in that low vibration, there's a few people in my life I talk to, and no matter what they say, it's always something negative. But they're beautiful people that I need to have in my life. Some of them are family members, but
same here.
they're yeah. But it's just it's unfortunate, but that's we lead by example. But so with that guilt aspect, though, I'm like, oh, what a coulda, shoulda. But that's the detractor from staying in that state of enthusiasm where we get to share these experiences with them. We have these opportunities to life happens for us, not to us, right?
Mm.
And even there's some scripture out there. Even I know Christianity even speaks to this, where it says, "I wish you would receive the kingdom of God like you would, like a child would receive a gift, with the wonderment and the gratitude and the awe and the just the the that face, that energy. Like think of like when you were a little kid, like the greatest feeling you ever had when you were a little kid. That's how the kingdom of God, that they want us to receive it. And what do I feel about the kingdom of God is that's just being in love. Like it says God is love, so love, being love, and just embodiment of love, not just being in love with yourself or your surroundings or your significant other. It's just being the embodiment of, and just being in that harmonic state. And that's enthusiasm right there. And that's more than enough for me just to keep going. uh, yeah.
No, for sure, man. Like, and I would say like mine, the theme that's going to be guiding me in the
Yeah.
next year, I would say it's pivot attitude, embody gratitude.
Nice.
Like just constant, not allow myself to whatever, like be in any of that shame or any of the past or whatever. And like, no, just make that transition, that conscious pivot or whatever, and then focus on the why I'm grateful. Like me and Eric can have this conversation right now. I have internet, like I'm able to do this technology is a beautiful thing. Like, and everything can be seen as light and dark, can be good and evil. So it's all about our perspective, and like
Yeah.
having that just pivoting, like, so I'm like grateful, my attitude, enthusiasm, like living, just, like this is beautiful, able to do this, like just to pivot that and like be grateful for everything. Like just, I could just go on and on about gratitude. Like, so it's like, it's, it's just being more like in tune with the harmony and like, and like loving love. I mean, loving the soul, loving the spirit, loving just being grateful and having that faith, that like the
Yeah.
faith from above that's like thank you, and having appreciation for it. And like, man, like I'm able to live, like, like I should be like, I shouldn't even be able to live or to speak or to walk or talk. So I'm like, man, like thank you, dude. Like thank you. Like, and I understand, like, some of it was me, as in like me like taking action of to do these things, but it was like the only reason why I had that ability to take the action was from the creator. It's like, thank
Yeah.
you. Wow, thank you for like giving me the choice to make a choice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's kind of what I would say my
Beautiful.
theme we'll say theme for next year's, pivot attitude, embody gratitude.
I love that. When you're embodying and you're pivoting while you're embodying, you don't have to change really much about you besides your perspective. Like it's like you're wearing the blinders, and you get to focus. You shift your focus onto something that's more conducive towards your path. That's more for your healing work, and
Mhm.
that's awesome to hear. I love that idea of pivot.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like I heard a lot from Shonda Sumner from Hardcore Living, especially like going down to Austin, Texas. She says it a lot, like the powers in the pivot.
Yeah.
And like I took that. I'm like the pivot. I'm like, it's always, I'm like, because whether I have to do it once a day or really like 30 or 100 times a day, because there's always a good amount of them.
Yeah.
Like It's like it's powers in the pivot. It's like pivoting, and like man, and then it's about my attitude, having the attitude for that. So I'm like, pivot attitude, and like embody my gratitude, embody gratefulness. I'm like, man, they go hand in hand so together. They like almost rhyme. I'm like, I love them. I'm like, I'm gonna go with that. It's like just and like
Yeah.
I'm all about mantras too, just like you as well. Like remembering these quick like little because they're like little arrows that like when we get
Yeah.
lost and confused and all we gotta do is like oh like the one I mentioned to you before was the Winston Churchill one. I like to say it just kind of like gives me more, you know, just more empowerment. Like
Yeah.
success is the ability to move from failure to failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm.
Yes.
Keep on keeping on, man. Keep going, you know, like
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah, nobody's asking you to change who you are. You're wanting to improve aspects of self. And by doing that, you get to better who you are. You're not really changing or focusing on being rid of a certain energy. You're just focusing on like, for a lot of people, I'm saying this for a lot of people who are listening to this that
for
might not
sure.
have the ideas. Um, so when it comes down to it, like, people don't want you to change who you are. Like, they love you. If they're in your life, they're in your life for a reason. Like, and they accept you, right? But some of these people are going to fall off naturally. Some of these people you are going to keep in your life, but that's really up to your discernment, up to your focus, up to how you pivot, where you want your path to lead. So you can kind of go with the flow and kind of direct your course a little bit, but it's you can't just like stop dead in your path and be like, okay, no, we need to take a sharp left hand turn here, and that's just working against the energies, and it takes you out of that flow state, and it
Mm.
just creates this kind of a snowball effect of energies in your life where it's like, okay, this is going bad, this is going bad, this is starting to fall apart. Well, a lot of that stuff is naturally trying to fall away to make room for the better in your life. Is clearing out that land so you can plant your crop, right? So you can reap your harvest in the future. And it's just beautiful energies to be a part of. So going into this new year, what do you think the collective ideas are going to be shifting towards, personally, with this,
Hmm.
with all these
I would,
energies that are like, a lot of people, you can I don't know if it's just me focusing on like all this stuff in the social media realms or anything like that, but it is a great social media, by the way, is a great way to be in that self-confirmation bubble. So just kind of spot checking on here, where I've been seeing more and more people in this awakening process, whether it's a fad or not, they're still in this process of awakening. um, and I see this collective shift kind of gearing up towards that. How do you feel this is going to play out over this next year?
yeah, I feel the same thing. I mean, looking at like anything, just any social media, any platforms, talking to people, seeing how people are, like their reactions, whether they're reacting or they're being more responsive, and they're being like it's more of like a people are starting to like have more ownership. They're starting to have more ownership and of like certain things and just different things that are going on in their lives. And and it's allowing us to, I feel like it's just, man, it's going to be 2024 is going to be like a huge, there's going to be some massive shifts that happen. And there's definitely like probably going to be some things that are like, you know, would seem scary or like, oh, and things like that for sure. But
Yeah.
like, you know, to, to let go of the past, to let go of the past and to let it go, like we're gonna need to like let that go and surrender to it. And then that means building a new future, you know, like the
Yeah.
mind said, you know, like what would they say? Like 2020 predicted the prediction, one of them anyways, was a 2020 prediction about
Yeah, it was.
there's going to be a new Earth or whatever it said. I forget exactly, but like a new way or new
Yeah.
Earth or something along those lines. Maybe
The,
even
like, the Mayan prophecy and the Hopi prophecies, they're
okay,
they're
Hopi.
very much around these times. Very much so. And the Hopi, man, if you get into that, that's some very interesting rabbit holes to get into. Um, yeah, it's awesome. Like just learning different cultures where I think we're becoming a little more tolerant of others, where a lot of that prejudice, a lot of that preconditioning, a lot of that programming is kind of being recognized exactly for what it is.
Mm.
And partially we have to thank this information era for that, where the web and everything like that has actually brought us a lot closer together, and more in sync and in tune with one another. Like, hey, you know what? I really am not alone in thinking this. I'm really not an oddball. I'm not the black sheep. I'm not alone. I have spiritual brothers and sisters out there along doing the same thing, feeling the way I feel. It's great.
For sure. Yeah, man. And like right, like everything can be seen as the darkness or the lightness. And some people are like, oh, the internet, this and that, whatever. Like the internet is beautiful. Like we're able to like connect to each other around the whole world. Otherwise, like we would all be like asleep and wouldn't even know the difference between different things that are happening in the world. Like, so it gives us the freedom to be like, and that's kind of what I want to say too about like next year. I feel like that's another thing that's going to happen is like we're moving away from this division. We're moving away from this divide, like sexes, races, countries, divide, hate, and create all this disconnection, like because this division starts within,
Yep.
as within, so without. So like when we're divided from like ourselves and we're up in our mind trying to just
Yeah.
be like a mental human doing, and we actually let go and surrender, we come back down to center to love within,
Yeah.
then like that creates a harmonium and like symmetry within ourselves and like and then that creates like that connection. And that's what I feel is like happening on the outside, like as within, so without. So we're beginning to connect, have that more heart-centered connection, and then like we're accepting others for who they are. Religious, oh, you're this religion, all good, man. Like I'm totally cool and friends with you, no issues here, and
Yep.
like we're able to like, I feel like that's one thing that we're definitely going to come more together, like and help one another and move out of that old ways of being divided and by
Right.
ourselves.
That's beautiful. I feel the same way, man. I'm
Mm.
very excited to participate and to be a part of this collective energy this next year, even, and moving forward, because the I have a very big feeling that we're gonna look at January, like in a few days here, from the time of this recording. We're gonna when it comes to this time next year, we're gonna be looking back to the January energies. We're not going to be able to recognize a darn thing, and it's going to be so awesome. There's going to be good and bad mixed in with it. We're going to just have to take it how it is. Yes, there are other things happening in the world that aren't that great, but what and you like to point out to me as well, and what I like to point out to others as well, is where attention flows, energy goes.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, when you are constantly thinking about it, the universe doesn't care if you want it or don't want it, right? You could be thinking about, oh, I don't want a speeding ticket, I don't want a speeding ticket, and you're
Ooh,
still going to get a speeding ticket
yeah.
because you're thinking about the speeding ticket, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
as we just focus on other things that are more in line with where we want to be, right? Of where we want these energies to be, like love, right? Just focus on love, right? What does love mean to you? What is, and it means differently for other people. For me, it's just meaning that my family is safe, happy, healthy, and fed, all that wonderful thing, right? So if we were just focusing on that and like not paying attention to what that hand is doing with the government over there or something like that, you know what I mean, uh, then it doesn't have the power over our lives. It really doesn't. Yeah, it might still be going on, but the less we pay attention to it, the less we give them that power, that attention, um, that energy, the less it will have an impact on our lives. I really, truly, firmly believe that.
Yeah, brother, I'm on the same page. Definitely with you on that. Definitely. And two things I want to say about like what we said a little bit ago there, that it was that like, you know, I like to say acceptance is love, and
Yeah.
when we accept that, and and that's kind of like the change is acceptance is change. It's through the acceptance when we accept ourselves, that's when we're able to like, pivot attitude, embody gratitude. We're able to like be grateful for ourselves when we like just when we actually accept ourselves. So
Yeah.
it's not that we need to like um focus on any of the negative or focus on all that. Like, oh, I need to change. I don't like that. Oh, whatever. None of that. Just focus on, their positivity and things, the gratitude, things you love, what you want more of, like, energy flows where attention goes. And like, we focus on that, like, and you start creating that part of like your linguistics, your neuro-linguistic programming up here, your neurology, then you create that brain trails, you rewire and refire, and that's going to take your choice of actually choosing to do that through consistency being key. And then, that repetition will create that identity. But if you hold on to the past, that's all you bring to the present.
Yep.
Tension. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way that addiction works. Neurons that fire
Mm,
together wire together. And when we're addicted to bettering ourselves, those neurons that fire together consistently wire together, and that's a healthy addiction. And it can be taken out of context. Yes, I understand that.
yeah.
However, when we're stuck in this like sitcom sort of energy, I like to call it, when we're just sitting in front of the TV, garbage in, garbage out, as above, so below, as within, so without. When we're what we ingest, what our thoughts are on a daily basis. Those neurons that keep firing together are wiring together. So and I really love what you said, that acceptance is change. That's beautiful because that I agree with, and like that's such a beautiful way to put it too, because you can't have change without acceptance, or at least
Yeah.
positive change without acceptance. Like, even if it's a negative change, you're still in some sort of acceptance to it. So
Yeah.
no matter what, I mean, it is a change. And a lot of people think, well, once this falls into place, then I can accept it. Or once this happens, then I'll be happy. Which is no, it's like you need to be acceptance of who you are. And that's where this whole paradigm of the self love gets to be taken out of hand and out of context, I think, where we're just supposed to be, just that self love, that self care, not like the self love to the point where it's a big ego boost, kind of thing, where you're big
Right.
toxic ego masculinity or whatever, eh, yeah.
That's like the you're almost over the precipice of like the ego that they call the ego death. You're at
Yeah,
pride. When you're at pride, pride is like that highest ego where it's like, oh yeah, I'm the best and whatever. But like it's just over that precipice, like it's not you. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's the creator within you. When you like you let go and you surrender. All right, man. Like like Indiana Jones, that one movie. Like when he's like afraid to take that step and he throws out some sand or whatever. And he's just like, all right, man. And he steps out and it actually is a ledge there, and like you can actually
yeah,
walk across. It's like, oh, so when we give up and we have faith in the creator within us, without everything, like we're able to accept life and have that faith of acceptance. And it's like it's yeah, it's all about accepting us for who we are, the darkness, all the darkness and all of our light, all of our pride and all of our light, whatever, like, and all of our shame and guilt and stuff, that suffering that happened from the past. We accept it all. It's like, the yin and the yang are one circle, the dark and light are one circle. Like there's nothing, it's not two separate things here. There isn't,
yeah,
there isn't heaven is like there's no like heaven and a separate hell. It's all together. Like it's
yeah.
our choice. Do you want to live in hell or do you want to live in heaven?
Yeah. You want to live in low vibration, or do you want to live in a higher vibration? You want to live
Yeah.
in love, or do you want to live in fear? I mean, the choice is always yours.
Yeah.
It's
That
always
that
yours.
that's what I like to say, and that's one of my biggest things is like within my like conscious coaching program, my coaching and stuff is are you a chooser? Because that's like, are you a chooser of you? Are you a chooser of your life? Like, and when you are a chooser of you, then you accept all of you. You accept
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'm a chooser of me, man. Like, yeah, I was. You know, I was a selfish asshole before my past. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, you know, but now I'm aware of it. Like, no, I don't want to be that. That's just gross, man. Like, no, I can choose to like be a chooser of me. Like, oh yeah, I accept that. I accept that I was that way and whatever. But like, that was part of my learning experience. Like, you know, and having all these accidents and pain and stuff like that. It's like, ah, and because what that was it was my spirit, my soul showing me that way. Like it's kind of like what I had this I was having well, partially almost having like a not like an argument, but like almost in a sense earlier today on Facebook because the guy was like, accept I said acceptance is love, and he's like he was like confused on that. He was trying to be like, so you're telling me like if I'm walking in my house and I stub my toe, like and I'm supposed to and like I'm that how is that love? I'm supposed to accept that and that's love or whatever. Like not understanding like I'm like
Uh,
well what that is that's yourself showing yourself oh when you stub your toe and you realize you have the awareness like okay I maybe I shouldn't have been walking right there or walking this way or maybe I should move my couch over here like it's like having the awareness it's like that acceptance of it is love because it's love showing you how to love yourself it's
yeah, I get that. And I really love that aspect. And to take that even a step further, I'm like, what's that initial reaction you get when you stub your toe? What is it? Is it thank you? Nine times out of ten, probably not.
yeah
It's going to
no
be son of a freaking oh, and all that, and the curse words come out. But really, what are you? Where is your brain going? Where is your heart going? When you stub your toe, maybe that is the divine trying to get you to work on that reactive part of yourself. Now we all react, but how we choose to respond is what makes the difference.
Mm,
We can react, but when it comes a permanent reaction, then we're very much in our ego. And we all react for a certain amount of time, but it's how long you choose to react and what that response is. So you get that response time down and a healthier response into that aspect of like when you stub your toe, I'm like, oh, yep, okay, yep, that hurt. Okay, thank you, Divine. What do I need to learn here? Whew, okay, breathe. I'm breathing. I'm doing my breath work. So I like to think of it kind of like that, where it's this probably divine, just like yeah, teaching you how to love a little bit more. Yeah,
Yeah, bro, totally, 100%. It's just like looking at it. That's like what I like to do at nighttime when I lay down in bed. As soon as I lay down, I'm like, all right, I reflect on the day. Okay, what did I like and what I didn't like? What didn't I like? Like, okay, and then I see them and I'm like, I reflect on that and kind of see what it was showing me, what it was showing me. Okay, yeah, and then like things I didn't like, I'm like, all right, okay, well what is that showing me? Okay, like so then I can have the awareness of like, oh, I can then okay, oh, reflecting on it. Now that I'm not like, especially if I was triggered before, let thy triggers be thy guides.
yes,
Let them show you like
yes.
when you get mad, when you get happy, mad, whatever emotional, like it doesn't really matter. Like see it, maybe not in the moment, like because right, it can be kind of difficult when like something happens, especially if it's pain, like like
Mhm.
but another one that to go with that, speaking of pain, is let pain is a roadmap to the clarity within. So
I like that.
if we actually sit in the pain and we sit in the pain, like and we actually okay, let me wipe these tears off of me. What is this showing me? What is this showing me? Like, okay, like
Showing where you don't want to be, right?
yeah, like okay, well that too, but like okay, what is this showing me? Like okay, and then when we sit in that pain, we're able to like map out. Okay, so I shouldn't talk to this person, shouldn't do that. Like like so then we can have clarity. Like I'm like okay, that's not where to go next to not do those things, to make it proper changes, and then through that, acceptance of what we did. Okay, all right, yeah, forgiveness all right, man, I forgive you, bro. Like, have that acceptance and forgiveness and the respect for ourselves, then that's like how to live authentically, man. Just
Yeah,
to,
let it
yeah,
be.
brother.
Let it
Right.
be. Keep on
Just
keeping on and letting it be. I love it.
for sure, dude. Just accept life for what it is, man. Like,
Right? Man, and what a awesome experience this has been with you here, Patrick.
Mm.
What else do we need to go over here for these New Year's energies? Um, I know we went over a few notes here. I'm kind of looking at
Yeah.
them here.
Well, the theme one
Balancing
was,
work and life. Let's talk about that. Balancing work and life. How do you plan to balance
mm,
work or commitments with your personal goals? And are there specific strategies you'll use to manage your time effectively?
mm. Yeah, definitely, bro. Like for me, um, I would say like just prioritizing my time and like setting certain things in a certain ways, like, when I get up in the morning, like is when I do my meditation routine, go through that, my gratitude meditation routine, and then I shut my phone off every night, by the way.
Yep.
My phone's off and it's been on vibrate for like 2 years, by the way, too. So
Yep.
like I don't want anything to distract me from myself. Like, so it's just prioritizing certain time for when I'm doing things, like these conscious containers, doing these at night, 6, 7 at night. Okay. So I'm scheduling certain things and make it a part of my life tour. Like then like, I know, like, then I'm not so like, oh, because like with me, one thing I've struggled with my whole life was anxiety. So
Yeah.
if I don't like purposely have that prioritized time for certain things, then like I'm kind of like, I get kind of like, oh, I should probably do this or whatever. Then it's like overwhelming.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's just and that's kind of like the balance. It's like balancing. It's like, okay, have that prioritized focus time for exactly what I need to do, and then getting that done, and then when I like just want to go out and like do other things, like go out and like do something recreational or whatever, like just go have
Yeah.
fun or something like that, like then I can do it like freely. I don't feel like I'm not in the middle of like doing something fun and being like, oh shit, I didn't do this. I forgot about this. Oh, like,
Yeah.
and then it just ruins it. I'm like, man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man. That anxiety is a killer, and just the scatterbrain, like the analysis paralysis. I get into that a lot.
Mm,
The scatterbrain kind of energy too. I get that like hyperactive ADHD almost kind of feel where I just want to tunnel vision this way, and then I want to tunnel vision that way, and then I want to go. But yes, a lot like what you do. I too, I've taken a page from some monks myself, and one of the first things they do in the morning, the first thing they do before they even get up out of bed, is they meditate, and they reflect on their sleep. They reflect on their day prior. They reflect on their dreams right before
mm,
completing the day's first task, and then what they do is they complete the day's first task, where it's something as simple as making your bed, right? You complete a task and it'll set up your success for completing other tasks throughout the day. So, and not really compartmentalizing all of it, where it's like, oh, I have to do step A and then step B and then step C. Sometimes I make my bed and then I lay on top of it and meditate. But as long as I'm getting it done, I'm not really, and it's been a lot for me just to be in that acceptance and that love and just to let that be as it may. Sometimes the energies are, oh, I need to spring up out of bed because there's an emergency, or things like that. We just have to be prepared. But when it comes down to it, very similar to you, where I in the morning I meditate. I'm very good with my routines. In the evening, I also meditate before bed. I even meditate probably 2 or 3 times a day. Just a quick 5 minute to myself. It doesn't have to be where I go lay down and close my eyes. You can do it standing up while working. It's really really fun to get into that, and we can get into like meditation talk later on. But it's great because it helps us with that acceptance and to be not so much in our thoughts about things. Um, and there's this really awesome excerpt from Alan Watts, I remember, where he said the mind is a great tool when it works in service
mm,
to your well-being, right? It makes a great, I'm not really sure exactly what his specific words are, but it says the mind makes a great servant, but a terrible master. So
Mm,
it's in service to that heart. It's in service to the heart energy, and that goes with that ego stuff too. Like what our reactions are, where our mind goes. What's that first thought when we react to something? Let's catch that first thought and see if it needs to be transmuted into something else. Like you brought up the instance, so like so then you're not into the afternoon and you're thinking about what you have to do the rest of the day because that's already taken care of. That worry doesn't even exist because you've accepted that, and you know when you're going to be addressing it, and you have that confidence there, that love about it.
yeah, man, for sure, bro. Um, oh, I was gonna say something there. I was like, I'll get back to that thought. I try to like stay in the now, and like I'm like, but no, one thing what it was that I've heard this before, so I want to know your thoughts on it. Is that that to not meditate in your bedroom. So when you said the monks get up and they
Yep.
meditate laying down and kind of reflect, I guess. But do they meditate too, or what? No,
A lot of
how?
monks, they only own like two things,
Oh,
right?
that's true. That's true.
That's their clothes and that's their bed, right? So
Yeah.
when they're laying there, they wake up. I mean, then it's kind of a shared living space, really, and it's. I don't think okay. So meditating in the room into your bedroom is. I don't. I'm not really sure. I think that's a school of thought worth pursuing, um,
Yeah.
personally,
I don't know.
because there might be reasons for other people that might not want to do it that way, where they're saying, okay, well, when you stay and you meditate in your bedroom, it kind of reinforces that behavior to stay in that comfort zone, in that area where you feel safe and secure, and it kind of makes you want to stay there all day, and it kind of sets you up for later struggles for as far as opening up and getting out and getting things done and getting
Um,
your tasks for the day completed. um,
hmm,
but if you're I would say as long as you're in discipline, whatever that discipline is for you, whatever works for you might not work for somebody else. So for me, meditation first thing in the morning is always in my bed. When I wake up, I
hmm,
before I even roll out of bed, I'm not into my brain space right away. I'm still very much in my heart space. I'm feeling the energies of the dream that I had. I'm just slowly waking up. I'm not trying to be in that anxious mode where I have to do these tasks. I got to brush my teeth. I got to comb my hair. I got to get dressed for work. I got to make breakfast. I got to no, there will be a time for that. Even if it's only 5 to 10 minutes first thing in the morning, it is so much more beneficial just to
hmm,
put that off for 5 or 10 minutes. It'll be there when you're done, and you
hmm.
don't have to hurry up and get it done. So, but in the evening, it's usually in the lazy boy, right? So
Oh, for
I'm not
sure. Yeah.
usually laying down in the bedroom quite yet at that time in the evening when I'm reflecting on the day. It's just kind of more in the common area of the house where, I might still be accessible if a family member needs me, kind of thing. But it's more of a loose meditation, just more um, retrospective. Kind of looking back on the day, like reflective work. uh,
Hmm,
what could I have said to make things more in a loving way throughout the day, or what could I have done to make things more in a loving way throughout the day. um,
hmm.
so
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my morning, it's similar to to that, but I don't similar to what you're saying about laying in bed and whatnot. But I actually, I mean, I lay there for a minute and like I get, but I pretty much like 9 times out of 10, most of the time, probably higher actually, but I wake up before I even open my eyes. So
yeah.
I'm awake and before I open my eyes and right, I don't allow my mind to like all this no, I like I just kind of like be more in the embodiment, just kind of feeling like just in gratitude for like gratitude, being more grateful for like being able to like sleep the whole night and beautiful. And then when I get up for the first, and then that's whatever, not long, and then I get up and I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth and stuff like that. But through that whole morning section there of when I'm doing that stuff, I don't do it in a forceful mannerism. I don't do it
Yeah.
in like a, I don't do it at all in any, so it's similar to like meditation in action because I don't actually like force myself to do this or have to, and no have to. So I'm like, I'm like just more centered and more grounded in who I am. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go here, do this, whatever. Maybe I'll turn on I'll make some tea in the morning and I don't even drink it yet. I put it on put it in the pot. I get the tea
Yeah.
going, the kettle, and then I sit down and like and do my meditation routine, which is a couple different things, and have like and so I don't like allow myself to get in that whole thinking process where I'm doing a lot
Yeah.
of thinking. I mean, because that's where where my mind wants to go. It's like it wants to just think and oh and this and all that and like you said, the discipline is absolutely like such a crucial aspect of
Oh
life.
yeah.
Like Jocko Willink likes to say, discipline equals freedom. And I mean, that's literally it does. Discipline creates emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is emotional control. You're in control of your emotions. And then when you're in control of your emotions, that's guaranteed results, man. You can do what you want to do because you're not like, uh, having this turmoil, getting distracted and whatever. Like, no. And then when you're in control of who you are, and you focus upon that, it's like that's freedom, man. Like it's just beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, there was something else I was gonna say too, but I
Oh, go
don't
for
know.
it. Go for it.
It's just a lot, you know how it is. This mind, your mind's woo.
Oh yeah.
But but yeah, man. So we were talking about balancing work life and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just about like the balance is it's just like the balance of like knowing like when you get your task done like I like to write down usually the night before actually like five usually around five things, five small tasks I like to I want to get done like the next day or like my intentions I set to, and then like if I only get like say one of them done the next day because like I live more in the present in the moment, so when you live more in the moment like certain things come up to me or like come bring forth to my awareness to where I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
that's like right now I'm like totally right all with that. I'm like that's kind of like I'm like I want to focus on that for a little bit, and so sometimes they'll kind of just we'll say distract me, but not really though because I choose to do that, and like and then depending on what it is because there's a lot of things too I don't even focus on, but I have that list of things so I can like have that there. So like only if I only get one done, like okay, so it's written down though. So like it's right there. I can be like, all right, cool. Maybe the next day I'll finish the five and I'll even write more down, like so it's
Yeah.
having that acceptance and that understanding of like, the mind wants me to do all this stuff, but like, okay, if I only get one done, because more downloads, more things came into me, I'm like, oh, I need to go journal that right now, dude. That's whoa. Like, so there's certain things like it's part of that acceptance. It's like, that
Yeah.
we're not living in this fixed mindset of like very narrow-minded way of doing that we've all been and programmed, indoctrinated to believe. It's like, no, naturally we're a growth mindset. We just want to like we want to live, we want to experience things and stuff. So like
Yeah.
when like we get told different downloads or whatever different things, sometimes they come to me like a 2 pages worth of information comes to me like that.
Yeah.
Like I can't even process that
Oh,
information that just came to me. I'm like, where's my
yeah.
journal? I got to write this down. And I start writing it. I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I wrote that down because that is a
Right.
beautiful, beautiful. So sometimes stuff like that like comes into play where it's like I got to spend 20 minutes doing that or whatever. And like I allow that, certain things. I allow those things. So just having that discipline though, discipline to be
Yeah. Even
free
the
and
discipline, like you said, you touch on the acceptance aspect of it. Like, hey, if it doesn't get done, that's fine. It's okay. It'll still get done. It's just not going to get done when I wanted it to get done. It's going to happen in divine timing, and I have to be
yeah,
okay with that. I need to accept that, and that's a
yeah,
beautiful place to be, man. When you can feel that way, when you can respond to that way, and what a great place to be in that acceptance, that and that it reinforces that flow state again.
yeah.
So Yeah, it's great. So moving forward with the balance of work and life, just in general, gosh, with myself even, it's just going to be interesting. It's
Huh.
I have two jobs, the self-employment, and the other one just kind of helps make the ends meet, a little bit because I'm not self-employed enough to be, fully sustainable yet. I say yet because it is going to happen. So when I'm into the self-employment, when I fully get myself immersed into it, I have every reason to believe I can succeed, and I accept that, right? Um,
Mm,
uh, so just balancing that home life too, for me now is exponentially easier than it was 2 years ago. And I think
mm,
for a lot of people can say that now too, even after the pandemic. I'm coming from an aspect of single dad. My kids are grown, and I can kind of like be out and be my own person now. Like more of myself, let more of myself shine, and just
mm.
like I
Be.
just be. Yeah, yeah, beautifully.
Yeah.
um yeah. Where a lot of other people might not be in the same situation I am, that's fine, but a lot of other people, I also recognize that they're experiencing that from the pandemic sort of energies, where the powers that be, it kind of just backfired on them, right? It just brought people closer together.
Mm,
And it's really interesting too, because I was this is kind of going off the path just a little bit here, but I wanted to mention I was watching this interesting, uh, kind of like a social experiment, like a study on crowd and mob mentality, and
mm,
how crowds behave, how groups of large people behave, and it's
mm,
actually counterintuitive. To the point where it's more of a collective when it's about when there's more competition involved, then there's more likelihood of discordant energies, of there being more strife, more fear, more of that when there's more competition involved.
mm.
However, when you're suddenly finding yourself in that mentality, that group mentality of a unique experience, of, like, say, the London bombings in the underground, like the London Underground that happened back in
Mm.
the day, right? Suddenly, those people were in this very, very specific, unique experience, and that's when people band together and help each other out. And that's exactly what I feel happened during this pandemic time too, is people got together and they helped each other out. We weren't competing. We had nothing to compete for. I mean, it was an employee's job market. A lot of people changed careers. They were able to change careers because they were beginning to understand, where their bosses' priorities were, things like that.
Yeah.
And so their balance of their work and home life changed because they were able to help each other out and help each other understand these dynamics at play, and to be like, I know this other job that, they're hiring, everybody's hiring, or this other guy is like, hey, I'm going to go watch more YouTube videos on this topic and become self-employed. Maybe I'll be a
Yep.
woodworker. Things like that, and that's beautiful. Like, we've seen more growth in entrepreneurship in the last couple years than ever in recorded history.
Yeah.
So that's just beautiful energies to be a part of. And for that work-life balance, I think that just kind of goes hand in hand. When we're leading by example, when we're in that happiness, when we're in that state of flow, that state of acceptance, right? That shows our future generations and the people around us how we want to be, how we want others to behave, and just by simply being. Um,
Yeah.
and it's really great. And this is kind of like with the New Year's energy too. We're basically celebrating the fact that none of us died this last year. I mean, really, I mean, a
Absolutely, man.
birthday, a birthday is the fact that we made it around the sun. But the the New Year's is kind of more like, hey, we collectively didn't die together, and that kind of brings us all together. It's
Yeah,
like,
it
hey,
does.
we actually survived all this crazy stuff that happened this last year, and that brings people, strangers, together. And
Mm.
and I love that sort of energy, and to see that, like, increasing on a year to year basis is just beautiful to be a part of it, man. Just beautiful.
Oh, for sure,
Um,
man. Yeah.
I have no problems about deciding a work-life balance here myself personally in the future. It'll take care of itself.
Yeah, man. Like just seeing like the whole, everything with the 2020, deal that went down, the tricks, the delusion, the whatever. Anyway, so that like it created like even everyone to be even more separated than they already were, and like being in their house by themselves, and then like that ended what it ended up doing, like you said, it backfired. It ended up raising their awareness to be like to see like, wait a minute, they've been like stuck in this monopolized, slave matrix culture of society that's been like developed. And it's like where they're working for like, who are you working for, man? Like what are your intentions? What are you doing? Like start to have awareness of that. We're like, yeah, what I've been like busting my ass, like breaking my bones, doing all this for what? It's like,
Yeah, for what?
man, yeah, it's like they realize they've been programmed to be this doing, like human doing, like, oh, gotta have to get up, I have to do this. Oh. No, man, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can be yourself, dude. You can be you can choose you. And when you choose you and you have awareness of that, like that you've been like hurting yourself and you've been in the mind trying to be doing, it's like, wait a minute. Like it's like that's when like new industries come about. Like people are like they
Mm.
realize they've been working hard. They've been like killing themselves for this boss who doesn't care about them. And they're
They'll
like,
replace them in a week. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, what's going on here? And they realize that, and they're like, you know what? This is actually truly what I want to do. I feel inspired to do and serve these people, do this and that, and then they just do it, and they take the action of doing it. And that's like what I'm seeing too. It's like a lot of these like mainstream, like even like the mainstream news and all that kind of stuff, like they're not getting like people aren't watching that anymore. Like
Nope.
they're like, no, that's because all it is just it's just inciting fear. Like that it's just making people be like tell a bunch of horrible, horrendous things or like or maybes or possibilities, whatever. It's like, dude,
YouTube
and
is now the number 2 search engine. Like,
really,
yeah. How
wow.
crazy is that?
Wow. That's actually it's beautiful to see that though. Like people are actually
Yeah.
like they're researching their own news, their own way of getting information instead of
Yeah.
like being told fed information by the television, like
Yeah, or from other people just experiencing it and like relying more on like individuals on social media. Well, YouTube's a form of social media where people are telling their stories. People are sharing their experiences more, and people need to hear this, need to hear that they're not alone, need to hear that, hey, it's okay to be a guy in the Northwoods of Wisconsin leading a
ah,
spiritual life, right? It's this
right,
beautiful
right.
part of it all. Yeah.
Definitely, man. And yeah, definitely like and that's kind of like me like at first since my like near death experience and like trying to like and lose my short-term memory and trying to like remember who I was and like I would just like act certain ways and I'm like kind of made a fool of myself a little bit, but like aside from that, I started to see like I just was just being myself and being me. And like
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, talking about like, you know, when I first started my whole veganism journey, like I got into that and like I would like say some like harsh things, not harsh, but like pretty much like bold-faced truth to them. They're like, dude, get away from me, bro. Like I don't want to hear, I don't want anything to do with you. And it's like, through like just through just like through that though, like yeah, I'm like, oh man, I made a fool of myself. I what like damn it, like and then like had reflected on that and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna choose me. It's not about what they do, it's about what I do. And like like we were saying earlier, whatever the mantra was you use, well, like when you heal yourself, go when you go through, what was it again, I forget the mantra,
Oh,
but
the mantra I go to a lot is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Um,
okay.
yeah, and it's a sutra, and it is a very simple one. It just says, "I devote my life to the sutra," or the law of the pink lotus, which is basically just the teachings of Buddha, and to reflect on the teachings, and just to like be in that reflective heart space, and to really just be full of love, and just it's not worth stressing over right now. Like nothing is that important to cost you your peace.
Mm.
Really, it isn't.
Yeah, so it was that one goes with it too, but it was another one actually.
Oh,
it was one that was about like uh so I forget exactly how it was said, but like about like healing you is how you heal the world, or heal another is by healing you to heal another.
oh
Uh,
yeah, the best thing I can do for me is, or excuse me, the best thing I can do for you is work on me. The best
yes,
thing you
that's what
can
it was.
do for me is work on you. Yeah,
Yes, that's what it was. And so like reflecting upon that, me like, oh, being like, oh, you shouldn't eat animals, you shouldn't do whatever. Like I'm like trying to like force people to do whatever like
oh
I thought
yeah,
to do. Like I reflected upon that and I'm like, you know what? Like yeah, it's healing here. It's healing me is healing you. It's like loving me is loving you, you know. So it's like,
yeah,
all right. So then like I started taking that action of just introspecting within and like seeing like what I needed to learn and discern and where I needed to like pivot my focus to like, no, forget that, whatever, like that past, guilt that you feel guilty for that, and that because that guilt is now like empowering you to like to say this because then you're just puking out your garbage to them to try to like force them to make a difference. Like no one wants, that's not how you
yeah,
help anyone or heal anything. So it's like, nah, man, like so going within and healing myself and loving myself more, it's like now when I speak to people and they're like, dude, like they're like, or speak to people or like they see me, they're like, like, I just started showing like enthusiasm and love and caring and the supportiveness and stuff. And then they're like, what are you doing differently? What do you look better, you sound better. Like then they create curiosity. And then I'm like, well, I'm eating healthier. Like I'm doing better. I'm like taking care of myself, journaling, meditating this and just like what I got to do and stuff. And like, and then they want to know more. And then like,
yeah,
through doing that, like then they're interested in maybe changing their ways or trying this or trying that and inspires them. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
I love that by living by example and just being in the acceptance of it all. It's great. Even when I was in my earlier Christian days and earlier in my spiritual awakening days, I was like, this is what works for me, and this is like, and any person in their like mid to late 20s, fresh out of college, you guys know what I'm talking about because you're there right now, or you think you know it all, but then you're realizing that what you're preaching and what you're trying to cram down everybody's into everybody's head, right, is not necessarily the way that they're going to process it the same way you did. And when we're in our 30s, we're kind of into that realization where we're learning those hard life lessons, and later in your wiser years, you get to be more of the leader by example sort of phases. Like, I mean, that's just a good way that it helps me understand it. It might not work for you. Take what resonates, leave what
Huh.
doesn't, and I'm like always like that. So it's just the acceptance of it all. What works for me might not work for you. Like, I know I'm an O negative blood type, and I can't eat
Hmm.
certain. My body can't break down certain things like kale or cauliflower, or certain very specific things, right?
Good.
But for other people, other blood types and other genetics, right? They can break down those things, no problem. But they might not be able to eat everything that I eat. You know,
Interesting.
like what works for you might not work for me. What works for me might not work for you.
Question about that. How did you end up like finding that out that like kale and certain things just because of your blood type, they
A
don't,
lot of research. So through
so you
my
never actually felt any difference or by eating kale or
I
whatever.
do feel the difference, and I wondered why. I'm like, hey, I'm eating healthy, but I'm not. I'm feeling like I'm
Hmm.
still like got that dad bod bloat kind of thing going on, and I'm like, I have an active lifestyle. I'm mentally fit, and I am physically like I'm very active. Why am I still like this? Like, why am I like
Huh.
not? And I feel like weird too when I eat certain things. Like, peanuts is another one. I love peanuts, and I would eat them all the time, and even with the shells, and they're great. And but my body doesn't break them down, and every time I eat peanuts, it's like it takes it feels like it's sitting in my gut, and I never really noticed it before, but now that I've been without it, and then I go back to it and then like kind of self experiment. I could feel that like sitting like a rock in my gut now.
Hmm.
whenever I do that. And it's
Hmm,
not very psychosomatic at all either. It's just more like, hey, I didn't realize there was peanuts in this trail mix, or something like that. But
interesting.
yeah, it is very, very unique and interesting for people to get into that research too. It started off with me being a chef and getting into the dietary and food science and all that fun stuff, into my studies of herbalism, and I went down several other health and wellness rabbit holes.
Huh,
So, yeah,
beautiful, man. Yeah, I just wanted to pop in there and ask you that because you
yeah,
said
yeah.
it. I'm like, man, that's it's interesting. Like, man, 'cause, yeah, like the only things that I've known when it comes to that kind of stuff is like many years ago when I had like shellfish.
Oh yeah,
I started having like swelling throat eating shrimp, and then this is like 10 years ago or 15 probably now. And then I was at Red Lobster, or no, I was at Outback Steakhouse one time with some friends, and like I've never had lobster, and she was like, we want a little chunk of this lobster. And I'm allergic to shellfish or to shrimp and stuff. I'm like, so I was like, all right, cool. I tried it and like
yeah.
ate it real quick. Bit it, I chewed it really fast and swallowed it, thinking like that's gonna make a difference. I don't know. And like I did it, and then like within minutes, I started getting like these red bumps and stuff all through my throat. And like, oh, I was like, oh,
You're going in an anaphylactic shock. Yeah.
yeah. And luckily, we were like literally within the parking lot. There was a grocery store, so I walked across there
Uh-huh.
to there and got one of those 24-hour Benadryls and popped that like right away. So it
Yep.
did that. And I bought two of them. And
Very smart.
yeah, I bought two of them, popped one, and then like it's probably like an hour and a half later, like it started to really like go away, but it was
Yeah.
still like kind of like this bumpy red bumps, really mostly. It didn't swell or like constrain, luckily, but
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, so that's like a no for me there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You
not
got
to get off
lucky
the
on
whole.
that. Yeah, just listen. That kind of goes hand in hand with just feeling out the energies, right? And we listen to our bodies, we listen to our environment, right? We listen to the things that resonate with us. Food or people or experiences, right? Or jobs,
Mm,
and just not being in resistance to that flow, like what you did, the act that you did, you ate that piece of lobster. That was an act of resistance, but you were very, very quick to act, and you're very fortunate to go over, and you had that know-how from before, something you learned prior in life, where you went and got that Benadryl, and that was probably life-saving for you. And
probably.
if you didn't get that Benadryl in you within probably that first hour, you probably would have been in the ER. So yeah, I mean, and it kind of spills over. Like, you could take lessons like that and apply them into our spiritual life, into our in our day to day life too, and just like that acting of resistance, like when we know it's going to shoot us in the foot, when we know it's going to hurt, when we know it's like, I really like it. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to try it anyway. And, and just see what happens. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that reflects
Exactly.
on that reflects on about the next topic there about learning from mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
no, like they can't do that. That doesn't work for me, and like you said with the like luckily like your peanuts stuff is not like it's not an allergy, it's more like just a blood thing. So it's
Yeah.
otherwise it could be sure way worse. I mean, I've heard people dying from like a single peanut,
Yeah.
so it's like wow, yeah.
Luckily, I don't have food allergies. I have other allergies, no food allergies. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. So yeah, right. Learning from our mistakes,
Yeah.
like reflecting on like like I was saying there at night, reflecting on the day and like understanding that and like understanding where I was this year, that last year, whatever, and like okay, and then like where I want to be for next year. So okay, so this is my intention, and it's setting that intention and like and know and know like no, like the utilizing the words like, "Oh, I'm gonna try doing that," or "I'm gonna try doing this," or "try," or "maybe," or "wish," or "hope," because I found all those words they leave the back door open,
Yep.
where like to where
Yep.
like you can then like it allows you to escape it. Like, well, I tried, so well,
Yeah.
it's like you didn't do it, so then we can like see like learning from our mistakes. Well, okay, well, I tried and I didn't actually do it, like in reflecting upon that, like, okay, well, why not? It's like, okay, well, because I didn't actually like continue doing it. I did it for like half an hour, but I should have done it for probably like a few hours and I didn't. So I didn't have that commitment. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. That reminds me of somebody saying, "Well, at least you tried." That condescending pat on the back, where that's not in an empathy sort of energy, and it's like, even when you're saying that to yourself, well, at least I tried. Like, okay, so you're justifying, you're reinforcing the behavior of wasting that energy on some fruitless endeavor that you're probably going to try again, and probably in a very similar fashion. And that's almost the definition of insanity, right? It's trying the same thing over and over again the same way, and expecting different results. Um, so when we don't adapt, when we're not in that acceptance, there's that, it comes up again, right? And
Yeah.
we're not learning from our mistakes, right? There's sometimes where I'm into later, I'm in my almost mid 40s here now, and I can realize, life choices that I made that kind of come back around.
Mm.
That it's almost like an echo from the past, or that, a lot of people like to think of it as, I'm on that full circle of the spiral again. It's just slightly different. I'm slightly removed from that situation, but I can still see it, and still feel that energy because I'm passing that point on the spiral again.
Mm.
But it's in how we view it, how we understand it. That self talk, like you said, getting into our heads, like that spells, right? The self talk, those words. I mean, it's all spells. Like, it's reinforcing that behavior, and really, people that say, "Well, at least I tried," or "This is simply too hard." I'm like, okay, well then you probably don't want to change. You're probably addicted to that long-term energetic cycle. So when it comes to learning from mistakes, that's something that I really focused on heavily this last year. Was I was focusing and realizing a lot of those long-term energetic addictions, those pattern addictions that I had, those
Mm.
long-term ones, right, that come around almost every year, or every season, right, where it's like,
Mm.
oh, it's February, it's time for my seasonal affective disorder to kick in again, and expecting that, and making it happen. And like, well, it's good to be prepared, but when I'm expecting it, then I'm not really addressing it or healing from it either. So that was a lot of like the
Mm.
transmutation that occurred for me this past year, and the results will be in the application, right? This coming year going forward, it's yet to be determined. It's yet to be seen, yet to be experienced. I have a very good idea of what it's going to be like, and I know exactly what it's not going to be like. It's not going to be exactly like last year. It's not going to be exactly like that season before, or that spouse before, or that job before, or
Mm.
that energy before, right? It's going to be different because I've accepted myself more. I've healed that more. We're moving on more. We're transmuting those energies. And just knowing awesome people like yourself, other people in the spiritual community, people we can go to and talk to for that guidance, that moral support. It just makes a world of difference. Just having people like us at the reach, right, with this digital era, this information era, like you said before, that this internet's really beautiful, this web is really beautiful. It's a tool. It's what we make of it, right?
Yeah.
And I really think like just honing it in, and sharpening our tools and really getting into applying that into our abundance this next year is going to be huge. There are planetary aspects even going on here at the beginning of this year that are
Hmm.
huge into our abundance. Uh,
Really?
yeah, would you like me to touch on those a little bit?
Absolutely. We got a little bit of time here. Absolutely.
Okay. So Jupiter is a planet of abundance, a planet of success, and that's in the sign of Taurus, a very serene, very frugal, very appreciative of beauty, and very grounded sort of energies, very methodical, very success driven sort of energies. And so that's like an earth sign, right? And Jupiter being in Taurus, going direct right now, right as we're speaking right now. Also, Mars in Capricorn. Mars is that the god of war, right? And he's that energy of he's that fiery energy of driving forward, of pushing, like that driving energy force, like the chariot almost, right? Um,
Mm,
and so with that being a Capricorn, Capricorn's a very earth grounded, stubborn, very very kind of like a goat energy, right? And Capricorn's also known as the magician in the tarot, or the archetype of the magician, right? And so with that going along with Jupiter, and also what's the other one? Mercury is also in Capricorn. So the way we talk is a lot more methodical. It's a lot more direct. It's a lot more down to earth, and that's happening today as well. So those three
mm,
aspects alone
wow.
just happened, like just now, and is awesome. Just watch how this first couple weeks of January play out, because abundance is definitely ours for the taking, and this is a beautiful transformative energy for a lot of us moving forward, especially if you have a lot of earth in your chart. Just look up what it means to you is what I would recommend. But yeah, so that's this kind of the very short abbreviated version of it. So those are those three major aspects that really just a point towards abundance with this numerology aspect of the year 2024 equaling 8. And
Mm,
that's representative of infinity, of abundance, and whatever that means to you, really.
mm. Okay, so that's how you got seven earlier was this year, and then eight is going to be next year. As you added them together. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Ah, let's see here. What other stuff? Um, so do you typically make New Year's resolutions, and how successful have they been for you?
I've tried to do that before, and
Tried, huh?
yeah,
Tried?
and a lot of people try, right? And I think there's some statistic out there that says like most people only keep to their resolutions for about 3 weeks. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a very, very short time to keep a resolution. So I think when we place unrealistic expectations on ourselves, like, hey, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by June or whatever. It
Yeah.
sounds reasonable, right? 6 months to lose 50 pounds is a good amount of time. But however, I think we're just going about it in a very odd way of saying, okay, this is the goal with no steps in the middle of how to get there, or anything like that. So that resolution just becomes more of this great idea that it becomes more and more attainable because life happens, things happen, energies change, right? And we don't provide room for that. And when we do that, we become our own worst critics. We beat ourselves up over it. We become more of this victim mentality. And I think the powers that be love New Year's because it really gets people into these hype mentalities, like, this is my year, I'm on fire, here's my ego, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna buy all these pills, I'm gonna take all these medicines, and I'm whatever. And so what I like to think of it more or less is like, hey, I'm gonna approach it this year a bit differently, where I'm more of, if it happens today that I lose my cool and I catch it, I'm gonna thank myself for it and just do that again tomorrow. And every day is just gonna be a day. And I don't really feel like I need a New Year's resolution to the point where I have this idea of who I would like to become, or this entrepreneur that I would like to be. As long as every day I'm making progressive realization towards that ideal, like Earl Nightingale
Mm,
says, success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Uh, as long as I'm making steps towards that, I'm okay. And sometimes I might take a step back or two steps back. You know what? Sometimes you have to take a couple steps back just to take that leap. Sometimes you need that like running start, and that's okay. We
yeah.
have to be able to accept and forgive ourselves for that. So That in a nutshell is pretty much how I feel about resolutions. How about yourself? Resolutions for you?
Yeah, man, I'm the same way. Very, very similar in an aspect where like I kind of put things together and I'm like, and I embody those things. And it's just about like I feel it's about commitment and most of the world isn't very committed. So after a couple of weeks, they're like, anyways, I'm gonna still do this on their cycle. It's like, and like I like to say, I was looking up here my some of my words here on the wall. It's a new day for a new way. And
Nice.
like that's something like every day, like, like just to do something different the next day to to that's better than the day before. So we're
Yeah.
consistently growing and like evolving and like and owning and just taking the action to like do what we need to do and like and just accepting ourselves for like falling down if we fall down or mess up or something like, oh yeah, all right. And then just and keep on going, man. Just keep going and like and not ending, not like not giving up and ending it and being like I need to be back in my box, put myself in my comfort zone. Like, oh yeah, this is what feels good. Like no, like it's like to continue stretching and expanding and
Yeah.
like going that way and like reflecting on it and like accepting myself, forgiving myself, and like, all right, man, it's all good. It's a new day for a new way, man. Like I'm going, like just that commitment and man, like being committed. Like so that's kind of what I feel like relating to what you're saying too. It's like I can kind of say a few things or like make a few like intentions with myself. We could call them, resolutions, but they're more like, or was that the word resolutions? Yeah,
Yep.
think, okay. I'm like putting a
You're all
couple
right.
words together. So, no, just having that, like setting the intentions and like even just like kind of knowing like, okay, I want to do more of this, more of that, whatever, or more less of this, and it's okay. And then setting those intentions and being committed with it, and then like, and then like by doing that, like that's just the way I'm embodying that like through a daily process of like being committed to those actions and doing that, and then like they get easier and easier and easier and as I embody them, like riding the bike, it's
Yeah.
difficult at first. Like you're scared, you're vulnerable. Like I might break an arm. Oh man, like, but if once you actually take that action of getting up there, that first step, that first pedal, whatever, and doing it, it's like more and more and more through the consistency. Like then it's like nowadays you can be on a phone, riding your bike on the phone, whatever, like no hands or whatever. Like I used to be afraid of this. What? Like so yeah, it's just that the commitment of the whole essence of embodying the goodness of life, man. Like just doing it.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great energies to be in. I like that. When people ask when, like, what's your resolution? What's your New Year's resolution? Who are you gonna kiss at midnight? I'm like, doesn't really matter, man. It's another day. It's just how I feel about it. Like, um, and how else are you gonna ring in the new year? I'm like, I'm gonna ring it in by reflecting and being very thankful and being very glad, and seeing how much I've healed, um, and really just being there for myself. And usually that entails a very good cry, where yes, guys, it's okay to cry even in public, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'll just sit there and be like, a lot of it's very painful to sit with again, but it's good to just release it. And if this is the time of year that you need to be able to lay it to rest once and for all, reflect on it that one last time, take that lesson with you into this next however many chunk of days or whatever,
Yeah.
then so be it, and just let the energies be what they are. I liked your analogy too of the riding the bike, right? uh, I like to think of it too, like when we're trying to steer our life is when we encounter that resistance in the handlebars, right? But
Mm,
when we let go and let divine take the wheel, the wheels stay up. They stay true to the path and they just
yeah.
keep going. So you can master your life like riding a bike without handlebars, right? And just like try to not steer it so dang much. You have a good idea of where you want to go, but sometimes that's not where you're going to end up, and that's okay because
Mm,
it's
mm,
really all about the process. It's about the travel, or the, it's not the
Journey.
destination. Yes, the journey. That's the word I was looking for. Thank
Ah,
you.
yeah, it's not the destination, it's the journey, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I can ride my bike with no
Oh, I
handlebars.
love that
With no
song.
handlebars. I'm like, definitely, man. And it reminds me of have you ever heard or read the book uh is it Untethered Soul by Michael Singer?
No, I haven't.
No, but it's exactly what he says. Like, is like I forget how he words it, but like, is that like our ego is the one driving the car, and our soul is in the back seat, just like whispering what to do. But it's like it's when we let go, the ego wants to keep us in that going straight. But when we let go and we surrender and we give up and like to the back seat, the soul, it's like riding your bike with no handlebars. It's through that faith of like, you know what? It's not about this guy knowing he knows everything. It's letting go and when you do that, it's like the world just starts showing you different things, and people like will come to you and talk to you, and like just like it's through like surrendering your like your wants, what you think the mind wants. I need this. Surrendering your needs and be like, you know what, I need nothing. Like the monks, they got like just the bed and that's it. Like it's like I don't need anything. Like
Yeah.
when you're like that, it's like through that surrender and not needing stuff. It's like you'll get more empowered. You give the faith to the creator, and it's like you get out of your own self's way, and it's just like, man, like I feel better, I feel stronger, I have this more energy. I gotta just like and you
Yeah.
just such a way better grounded place to be. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And it comes full circle back around to that total 100% acceptance, right? And
Yeah.
like love being the absence of judgment, right? That
Mm.
divine forgiveness, knowing that there's really nothing to forgive. Like it's just part of this experience that we're having as a soul, having a human experience. We're It's just being, just letting it all be, letting it all happen. And the less we resist to that, the more we're actually in control of our of
Right.
ourselves,
It's such a
right?
like a opposite end of the spectrum. What is the word? I forget. Spacing it, but it's such a like opposite way of thinking towards like you would
Yeah, like a counterintuitive kind of thing.
counterintuitive. Yeah, you
Yeah.
would never think that, or because when you like because when this guy isn't fully, it's been like taught to like only believe like that your thoughts are you, like you are your thoughts, and like it's like
Yeah, I
you're
think
literally
therefore I am. Yeah.
yeah, like you're literally exactly like you're just sitting there and spinning, thinking, well, this thought is going through my mind, so it's me. It's all about having that conscious discernment, knowing like, yeah, I see that thought, but I'm gonna go here, and
I
like
like to I'm sorry. I like to flip that around and go, I am therefore I think. You know,
love
we're not existing because we are our thoughts, but we're here and therefore we have thoughts.
it. Yeah,
Thoughts are a side effect of what we're doing, right?
yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminds me of that this short mantra is be, do, have. It's like
Yeah.
you don't do and have and then you can be. No, no, it's when you be who you are, you accept yourself. Okay, yeah, I'm this way, whatever. Like, and you be who you authentically are, then like the doing just comes naturally because that's just who you be. It's like,
Yeah.
and it just comes naturally, and then the having is like just part of like it's part of the cycle of it just being like naturally authentic and who you are actually are, and then like you embody who you really are, and just you embody the gratitude, the just the love, the being, the joy, like the freedom, man. Like you can just be free
Yeah.
and like feels good.
It does. It feels great. And all of you out there who are watching this right now and you struggle with your New Year's resolutions, I hope you're taking notes.
Ah, definitely, definitely. Is there anything you would like to leave us with, Eric? Maybe somewhere to find you, like any resources or anything, or
Sure, you can find me on YouTube at Your Essential Practice, also on Facebook and Instagram of the same name, Your Essential Practice. If you want
okay.
to email me any questions, comments, concerns, I'm also available at youressentialpractice@gmail.com. And for you?
For me? I am, you can go to my website, which is consciousacademy.us, which is spelled ConsciousAcademy.us. So you can reach out to me there. Find me anywhere on social media, Patrick Michael Hoffman. Or I guess if you want to send me an email too, I'm cool with an email as well, which is project@consciousacademy.us. Send me an email there as well. And yeah, man, it was great having you, Eric, and talking to you. We'll
Likewise,
definitely
Patrick.
connect again here real soon, man, and like make some more content. This is just, bringing in the new year and like what we want to share with the world and speak and just like love it, man. It was great,
Yeah.
great connecting with you, brother.
One quick shout out to everybody out there watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will be posting this on my channel, y'all. So,
Mm,
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. All right, brother. Well, it was great, great speak, man. And we'll have yourself a wonderful night, brother.
You too. Happy New Year.
Mm.